Well, in that note, let's get this
Party started.
let's get this party started. This song is "This Is the Day," and if everybody would join in, we appreciate the energy up here. It really helps me out a lot. So thank you.
This is the day that the Lord has made. I will rejoice and be glad in it. Sing that with me. This is the day that the Lord has made. I will rejoice and be glad in it. This is the day, a day to be seized, yeah. A day I can feel my spirit set free. Yes, this is the day. It's time to fly higher and high up in the sky. This is the day that the Lord has made. I will rejoice and be glad in it. This is the day that the Lord has made. I will rejoice and be glad in it. This is the day all my dreams come true. Can feel the Spirit working its way through. Yes, this is the day. It's time to fly higher and high up in the sky. This is the day that the Lord has made. I will rejoice and be glad in it. This is the day that the Lord has made. I will rejoice and be glad in it.
All right, good morning. Welcome to West Valley Center for Spiritual Living. My name is Reverend Clyde Goings. I'm the assistant minister here. I want to welcome you here on this beautiful Sunday morning. And I see that the service is a little light today because of all of our volunteers doing all the volunteer work at the rummage sale yesterday. And they're still in there. And Kathy is still coming. Kathy Rhodes is still coming in. So. And we'll do official thank you and and everything I think next week. But I do want to just start off saying thank you for everybody that showed up yesterday and everything that you've been doing, Kathy Rose and Phil both.
Actually, here, stand up, girl, stand up.
Yes, she can barely stand up because I know she's tired. But it's just been, I mean, yes, it is a fundraiser that we're doing and making the money, but it's also a community event of us pulling together and doing it together. So it's been a really wonderful experience of doing that as well. So thank you everyone for all the participation. And we still have one more day, the half a day this afternoon that we're going to do it. And then we're going to clean up, I think around 3:30, 4 o'clock. We'll be cleaning up and putting things away. So thanks everybody for participating. So I don't have any new announcements to come up, but everything that is available is on the website and also our newsletter. So if you're not receiving the newsletter, please fill out one of the cards that are in the bookstore and drop it off in the offering boxes, and we will make sure that you get added to the newsletter so that way you know all the wonderful things that are going on here at the center. So let's start off by saying our vision statement together. We are a loving, joy-filled community honoring the many paths to God as we learn and live the science of mind principles. And so it is. So just sit back, open up your hearts and minds for the Bradford's beautiful music and Reverend Karen's wonderful message. Thank you.
So take a deep breath as we move within.
I will make a quiet place within my heart. I will wait upon the Lord, wait upon the Lord.
Be still, my soul, be still. Be still, my soul, be still. Be still and know.
I will make a quiet place within my mind, and I will wait upon the Lord, wait upon the Lord.
Be still, my soul, be still. Be still, my soul, be still. Be still and know. I will make a quiet place within my life, and I will wait upon the Lord, wait upon the Lord. I will make a quiet place. In this quiet, special space, there's but one essence, one mind, one love, one joy, one peace, freedom, health, prosperity. And as I am one with and part of this essence, I know this for all of us. We are each individualized parts of this one mind. And today, as we come together, this one mind permeates all of us and blesses this service. And the songs of the Bradfords that always touches our hearts and brings us together and makes us joyous as we get up and dance to their wonderful music. And Reverend Karen's blessed message that always teaches us something that we can take with us and go forth with. So knowing this service is already perfect exactly the way it is, I just release this into the law, knowing it is done. And together we say, and so it is. Okay, so today I have my glasses because last week I didn't. In case you didn't notice. I know. I noticed. I was like, I got up here and I went, are you serious? And I went, yeah, I'm serious. You know me. Oh. Okay, so this is from The Philosophy of Jesus. I'm into this book right now, so I get to share this. Jesus understood a different set of laws, and because he used these laws, a power was delivered to him that has amazed the world. It is our purpose to rediscover these laws, to find out how they work, apply them for every legitimate purpose, and then reap the benefit. In doing this, it is necessary that we follow the example of the one who really knew. The only reason we know that Jesus really knew what he is that he proved his claims. What we should do then is to find out exactly what Jesus believed and why and how he used the secret of the ages so effectively. The first thing to learn is that Jesus believed himself to be one with God. One with God. And he believed that the divine presence was right where he was.
He communed with this presence through prayers and meditation until it was the most real thing to him in life. We find then that the whole background of his teaching starts with the idea that there is such a presence and such a power, that the presence is accessible to all of us, and the power can be used by anyone who has faith in it. This is no doubt the greatest secret of the ages. It is the miracle of the answer to prayer. It is the miracle of life itself. We need to believe that you and I, so little and so alone, have access to a power that has the possibility of making everything in our lives happy and harmonious if we cooperate with it. Let's think about that one. And so it is.
Everything is beautiful in its own way.
Like a starry summer night or snow-covered winter's day. Everybody's beautiful in their own way. Under God's heaven, the world's gonna find a way.
There is none so blind as he will not see. We must not close our minds, let our thoughts be free.
For every hour that passes by, you know the world gets a little bit older. It's time to realize that beauty lies in the eye of the beholder. Everything is beautiful in its own way. Like a starry summer night, a snow-covered winter's day. Everybody's beautiful in their own way. Under God's heaven, the world's gonna find a way. Now let me hear you guys. Everything is beautiful in its own way. Like a starry summer night, a snow-covered winter's day. Everybody's beautiful in their own way. Under God's heaven, the world's gonna find a way.
Oh, that was fun. Thank you, Bradford. Good morning. Good morning, good morning. Welcome to the West Valley Center for Spiritual Living. I'm Reverend Karen Rice, and I'm really happy that you are here today. Probably don't need to make this announcement, but normally this would be a potluck Sunday, and it is not today because we have changed all the food area into a wonderful and extraordinary shopping opportunity. So it's not too late to support the center by looking at all the goodies in there. It's such a good example of how what you're done with might bring pleasure to somebody else, and what a great sale we had. I estimate that, and I'll talk to Kathy Rose about it later. First of all, you know, we honored her, but Phil, stand up and let us love you. Stand up, my man, stand up. Yay! Because behind every successful woman is a man who knows how to say, yes, honey. Where did you want that? Phil is so good at that. You're an example to mankind. You could write Phil, you should write the book. You're such a great help to us. And you're so quiet about all of that you get taken for granted. So we love you, not as much as we love Kathy Rose, but we love you, and you're a great couple, and we're honored to have you in our community. Yes, yes, indeed. And you know what I was going to say is that I want to talk to you later, Kathy Rose, and I believe that hundreds of hours of service unfolded last week because there were so many people in this building all week long for very long hours and some real strong leadership skills in such a positive, beautiful way, and it's so good for the church, particularly before we dip into the warmer weather. So that's all very cool. The title of my message this morning is Beauty and Reason. And I love what we're about to talk about. And it was so well done in the reading. It was expressed in the music. You guys are point on for what needs to be said today. Listen to this quotation. All the laws of nature conspire to benefit humankind. There is love and there is law. There is beauty as well as reason. And this is really a really strong beginning point, and that's what we're really talking about today is the beginning. How do we begin using spiritual law? And the entire message, in fact, our teaching, the premise of our teaching is based on that idea of love and law. And Kathy, you read it in your reading it as the presence and the power. So the presence and the power is the same thing as when we talk about love and law. And what we're saying is there is a presence of God. These are like two different aspects. It's not two gods. Two different aspects of how we look at the idea of what God is. There's the presence, and the presence is very personal and intimate as you make that relationship between yourself and the Creator. The power that then is expressed through that presence that we consider love, the power is what we call sort of the mechanics of the way spiritual laws work. And spiritual laws work in exactly the same way as the natural laws of the universe. There's a way that we could know that an eclipse was going to happen, was it last week? On a certain day and at a certain time, and there was places you could travel and be, and people did. Hotels did really good. I understand it was hard to get rooms in those places where the totality of the eclipse was experienced. And that's because we live in a very precise universe of perfect order. So life doesn't always feel perfect. We don't always feel like we're demonstrating that perfection, and yet love and law is always at work. We wouldn't have life without it. The presence and the power is always active in our own lives. And today we're adding this beautiful element of beauty and reasoning. And I like that idea because we do have a sort of an intellectual philosophy in our spiritual tradition. And the idea of adding beauty and that sort of almost as a poetic element that a fine musician or a fine artist recognizes that as the expression of that divine order. It's another way that God expresses through us, and that is by recognizing beauty in our lives, even if it's just for a moment. It gives us that perfect evidence of the presence of God, the infinite intelligence of all the universe that has a place in our lives, personally, individually, as well as the collective. So when we're talking about the love and law, we're really honing in on these very specific ways that there's a universal order. Dr. Holmes, who is the founder of this teaching, created this idea, this philosophy we call the science of mind. Some through the ages have called it religious science. We're just a tiny part of a much bigger umbrella of new thought and really that thread of mysticism that is found in every spiritual tradition. Everybody just shows it a slightly different way. So when we talk about love and law, it's a universal feature, but we're talking about the creative energy of life in the way creation happens. And what we know from all the sagey, great thinkers that have, and philosophers that have shared their comments and written sacred works or brilliant, intelligent, wise works, we see that there's an agreement that we kind of group in something we call perennial wisdom. There's an agreement that there is a way that God, as the presence, as the creator, created all of life through this impulse of love. So we're not talking about romantic love, relationship love. We're talking about an impulse of love in that way that we define love as the greatest force in the universe, and all of life was created through that impulse. So we often see it written even in great literary works. Authors will talk about love as that impulse of all creation, and that there's some compelling force in this movement of life, in its desire to express itself. But the love is the very thing that then ignites the law, moves the natural laws of physics into the act of creation. And so it's a whole other side of how things work. I think they're both always present, right? Love and law is like never limited or controlled or minimized in any way, because it's the impulse of life to just exist. But it's almost like that element of law, that what we call law, or what we call the power, what we call that activity of creation, it's almost as if it's just waiting for us to plant our seeds of possibilities, for us to think thoughts of what it is we desire to experience next in our life, or the ways in which if you're a spiritually grounded person, you might interpret that as the ways you desire to allow Spirit to express through you as the way you use your own life. So what a gorgeous founding principle. Love impels all life into form. Love urges all things forward. And something in the universe responds to that love. That's incredible when we think about how it's that scientific side of life. It's what the quantum physicists are all yakking about now. We've been saying it for years. This is why people like Dr. Holmes could say things like that opening quote, "All the laws of nature conspire to benefit humankind." See, it's like if it starts from the impulse of love, of divine love, then there is a genetic code in all of creation that will benefit humanity, that will benefit nature itself, that will benefit the way all the planets and the things know how to orbit in the universe around each other and support humanity as well as all of life. This is true because of all the things Kathy read and what you were singing about, Bradfords. This is true because there's only one God. There's one divine mind. There's one source of all creation. One way that all of life originates again and again and again. And what we know is that anything that is created in the image and the likeness of itself. In other words, we as human beings, I'm giving you your cue right now, Miss Kendra. We as human beings create little guys. These are new twins. These are my great-grandchildren that were born 2 days ago. At the top, you see the gorgeous little girl. This is my oldest granddaughter, has 2 sons already, and then found out she was pregnant with twins. At the top, that is Riley Renee. She was bigger than her brother, Noah Novak. And these little lovelies are living in Texas, and they're just about ready to go home from the hospital with Mom. And aren't they beautiful? This is life. This is life, you guys. So yes, and I have more grandkids. These are just the 2 most recent ones. It's a wonderful way that life recreates itself, because at the same time we also experience the loss of loved ones who are not around to see these two little babies. You bring it all together and you understand the cycle of life. Now let's go back. This is an important point. You're created in the image and the likeness of that which created you, and birth and children are an example of that. Of course, when they were good, I knew they were like me. And when they were not, they were like their dad, because that's the way that would fall. Or they say in a Jewish family, it's the other way around. The mom takes all the blame. Oh, it's all my fault. But it wasn't in my home. Ay vey. So to know that when we create, we're creating in the image and likeness of what we're starting with, that gives me now a new point of interest in this message. Do we, as human beings, choose to create the things in our life? I'm not talking about children. I'm talking about our projects and our relationships. Do we start with an impulse of love? Because if we start from an impulse of love, then everything comes out a little bit better. We are always impelling, we are participating in the things that we are creating in our life, including our experiences, including the conditions we live in. We are calling things into form. We are speaking our words and using our thoughts and thereby molding, planting seeds of possibility in the fertile soil of our own existence, because we as human beings are always becoming. We're never done. We're never done. Even when we shed this body or we see these beautiful new faces of young ones just beginning this fresh new life, it's just the beginning, but we are always, always becoming. And so when we begin all of our creations from that perspective of love, then what we're doing is we are really helping to bring more loveliness to this planet. So there's love and there's law, and then we're looking at the way that love and law partner with beauty and reasoning. And I wanted to read to you the passage from the book where that quote originally came from. So in This Thing Called You by Dr. Ernest Holmes, it was one of his later books. He started publishing in 1919. This book was from 1948. And so you can see that he has a slightly different voice than in his I notice his earlier publications are much more law-based, and his later publications, you can feel more of a poetic nature in the way that he wrote then. And so here's what he says, this is the way he begins chapter 4. The universe is one vast system, and all the laws of nature conspire to benefit humankind. But these same laws automatically protect the integrity of nature, because they're universal laws that like gravity, it doesn't change, it works all the time, thank goodness. He says, it's as though nature said to you. So now imagine, if nature works for you, that's great. Or you could also say, imagine God speaking to you. Holmes says, it's as though God said, okay, little guy, the game is all yours now. Play it like you see fit, and I'm going to serve you. Imagine that. God saying, you play it however you want. I'm going to serve you. But don't fool yourself. You are the master of your fate. You are the captain of your own soul. And here he loved poetry. Holmes loved poetry and knew by memory great long poems that he could recite while he was speaking. He's quoting that famous poem by William Henley called Invictus. Didn't they make a movie by that name in a decade or so ago? And by the way, that poem was penned in 1875, but it was a popular poem of the day. You are the master of your fate. You are the captain of your own soul. I have implanted, now this is back to Holmes speaking now. as if God is talking to you. God is saying, I have implanted freedom and self-choice within you. Finally, through experience, you will learn the better and the wiser way. For I am love as well as I am law. I am beauty as well as reason. And I am feeling as well as intellect. God is all of that. And so when we participate at our human level and align ourselves to sort of co-create in our own life, to think things through, to begin with that same impulse of love when we're trying to create a new circumstance in our living, then we can align to these universal truths, and we can notice that we have better outcomes. Because I love this line right here where he said, finally, through experience, you will learn a better and a wiser way. You know what that says to me? It says to me, like, you will make mistakes. It's all right. You'll get a do-over if you so choose. And I recommend you choose to do it again, to try again and make it a little richer or start from a different beginning. I just imagine that Spirit talks to us like that. And I love interpreting other great thinkers. I love interpreting and personalizing those words so that I can apply them in my own life, that I have been given the freedom of choice. You have been given the freedom of choice. And, it's an invitation for us to use that freedom, to be accountable for our some of the stuff that happens in our life, to at least choose our attitude around our experiences, and to quit blaming each other when things don't look quite like we'd like them to be. Why don't we count our blessings as much as we like to tell the stories of all the mishaps that happen to us, I love the theory that mistakes can make me wiser. Wow, I must have made a lot of mistakes in life to be able to read that and relate to it. That's a really good thing. Every wrong turn you have ever made in your life has given you another piece of information. It's like walking through a maze. Have you ever done that? I've gone to one of those corn mazes on Halloween, and I never have. I like the labyrinth. You know the difference between a maze and a labyrinth is a single path. There's a way in to the center, and then there's a way out, and you just put one foot in front of the other, because that's kind of how life is. And if you make a wrong turn, there's no big loss. But in a maze, you're trying to find the only one way through, and you got to make some wrong turns. Whoops, that's a dead end. And you turn around and you go back, and you know not to go that way again. And life is like that. It gives us information. So beauty and reasoning go together perfectly, because when we reason on these things, it impacts our experience. When you notice something beautiful, even if it's just for a tiny moment, something sparks inside of you. Something shifts and changes. It's like there's this flash of light or a flash of wisdom or a recognition of something. I believe it's an awakening of that eternal truth that we all carry around within us. It's like a beacon of truth that shines for a moment, and it changes our whole countenance. Holmes wrote, beauty is like the pull of the sun on a flower, and it causes the blossom to open. What a lovely thought. Beauty somehow opens us. A moment of recognizing a beautiful sunset or the faces of beautiful newborn babies, twins that sort of double the excitement around it. Just a moment of thinking about it allows us to, our hearts and our minds soften, and we open. And when we are open, we are more receptive to life. And that might be the whole point. The night bird must sing at night. The ocean tide must ebb and it must flow. It must rise and then it must leave and fall again. And in the words of the great lyricist Erica Luquette, the tulip desires to express its tulipness. Isn't that fabulous? So, the point I'm making here this morning, let's be really clear here, is about the starting point. How do you start a project? How do you start your day? How do you start a relationship? And I would say to you that if love is the impulse from which you start anything, it will benefit all of humanity. There's an inner stirring within us when it's love, when it's that impulse of love. There's an inner stirring, and that's the very thing that kicks off the process of creation. So love causes an energetic movement that propels goodness into our experience. When you start from love, you're activating something powerful and beautiful and good. It changes your everything in the experience. So what our motives are whenever we embark on any experience, participate at any level with any experience or a condition we're moving through in our own lives. You know, I mean, even if you're preparing dinner, start from love. You know, give thanks for how beautiful the food is and how excited you are to taste it after you mix it all together and you sit at the end of the day to feed yourself dinner. You're going to run a load of laundry. Start from love. Don't see the drudgery in the chores in life that have to be done. What if we could just touch our clothes and be grateful for the fact that we own clothing? And that we can see beauty, even if our life seems to suck at any given moment, we can look out and see that still there's beauty around us in so many ways. So the question is, this is the ask today, how do you approach life? How do you approach tasks? How do you anticipate the things on your to-do list? How do you touch life? Because the attitude you bring to everything is the way you touch life. It's an energy that you bring in every way. See, the tulip doesn't wish it was a rose, right? And the night bird doesn't sing to annoy you at night, right? It doesn't plot to disturb you. When we reason, when we take that love and we reason on beauty and truth, we see that there is a compelling force in nature, and that force is in us. There's something in us that desires to have a higher resolve in the way that we show up, in the way we touch the things we do. And the truth is that not only does the energy we bring impact the people we encounter while we're moving through our day, but the truth is that our approach to life initiates the way that life responds to us. In the New Age circles, they got all excited about the law of attraction, as if the law of attraction is just about getting rich and finding that prince that owns a palace and is going to take care of you. But that's not what it's about. It's about understanding that life responds to us exactly in the way that we respond to life. It's a mirror, that there's something that we are woven in one with. So sometimes in life we make decisions or we start a task with a motive that's not from love. You know, sometimes we get angry about something, or sometimes life has disappointed us, or maybe we even feel defeated by life. And in those days, then, what we touch feels prickly. People we look at might seem mean or even hateful. What shows up in your Facebook feed will probably reflect something back to you that you could rethink. If I am motivated by fear, even if it's a fear I have for a loved one, if I have fear going on in my consciousness and I have any need to protect myself or anybody else in my life, then what I look out on will look dangerous. And so I invite you, if you must watch the news this year, start with love. Get prayed up before you do. Know that there's a power for good on this planet and we can use it. The only question is, will we use it? When we reason from any unloving perspective, and I just notice I rarely feel loving after I watch the news, but when I reason from an unloving perspective, my reasoning lacks inspiration. So go get refueled somewhere, somehow. Here's how Thich Nhat Hanh put it. This is a fabulous quote. If you plant lettuce and the lettuce doesn't grow well, you don't blame the lettuce, right? You might look for reasons why it's not doing well. You might try some fertilizer. You might decide it needs more water or less water. You might realize it's getting too much sun, but you don't blame the lettuce. Yet, if we have problems with our friends or our families, we often blame each other. If instead we knew how to take care of our friends and our families like we do with the lettuce, then they will grow well. If you understand, and if you show that you understand, you can love, and the situation will change. This is everything we teach. This is what we talk about every Sunday from this very space. There are natural laws in the universe, and when we properly understand them, when we have a spiritual practice where we experiment and apply these tools to our lives, we can begin to see that life is designed to support us. If it doesn't feel like the universe is conspiring to bless you, then it's probably a good opportunity for you to examine your own point of entry. How are you approaching life today? How are you approaching life right now? Through experience, remember, we learn and then we know better and we have wiser ways. Any situation can be approached first with that question: how can I approach this task with love? Now, I know I'm right there with you. We are family. Right? She still has energy to dance. She worked really hard. Sometimes it feels impossible to do that when life's got you down, when you're carrying something heavy or you're worried about something big and you can't quite find love. And my quick answer, after putting all this information together and just rejoicing in how fun it was to do this research, the quick answer is look for something beautiful. Look for something to touch you, as if you've never been touched by beauty before. And the reason I feel this is important is because of everything I already said, but also because I remembered the experience of Viktor Frankl. And you may recall that Viktor Frankl was a psychiatrist who was imprisoned in a concentration camp. He survived and he went on to write the book, Man's Search for Meaning. But he shared some incredible stories about what it was like to be a sort of a behaviorist under extreme circumstances and to observe who survived and who didn't. And he said that one night they were just finishing their soup. They were still sitting on the floor in their, he called it a hut. In fact, he referred to it as a mud hut. He said they were still sitting on the floor holding their soup bowls when one of them had been outside and came running into the hut and said, "Quick, get to your feet. You have to see the beautiful sunset." And they did. They got to their feet and they went outside, and a storm had just passed by. And he describes the sky this way. He said, "We were standing outside and we saw these sinister clouds that were just glowing in the west. They were so colorful. They were from steel blue to blood red, and the clouds were changing shape quickly because the storm was moving fast. And they were so beautiful you couldn't take your eyes away from the beauty of it. And even the muddy puddles on the ground reflected the same beauty." And then one of them simply said, "How beautiful this world is." Can you imagine? Under such circumstances, to still be able to see beauty is an incredible invitation to all of us. No matter what's going on in our lives, beauty's still there. So remember, all the laws of nature conspire to benefit all of us. And it doesn't mean that we won't have challenges. But what it tells me is that when life gets messy, I'm being called to find a higher resolve, to look at it from a different perspective, to allow God to show me that loving impulse. Because I know that God is in the sunset, that God is in the blooming flower, but God is also in the pain, and God is also in the deepest grief. And God is there even when we are afraid and we don't know what to do. Just a tiny moment of beauty can spark that divine illumination at the center of your being and uplift you. Remember that they say, when you see the light in the midst of the darkness, it means you have found the path. Ralph Waldo Emerson said, "Never lose an opportunity of seeing anything beautiful, for beauty is God's handwriting." Take a deep cleansing breath. And like we have done already this morning, we're going to still our minds and turn within to the sacred place of the Most High, where we recognize the power and the presence, and we begin at the most precious beginning place, in love. We recognize that love is that most powerful force in the universe. That love is a call for that dynamic law, the power of life, where creation starts in the form of a seed. That love is the beginning. And so we have planted this day seeds of precious possibility. We have aligned our minds to be aware of that force of love within us, to call forward that impulse of love for every beginning, every starting point, every project, every relationship, every condition or experience we might be moving through. We start in that gorgeous place of calling forward God's good, of shifting our own point of view so that we can be lifted to a higher consciousness. We can be lifted to a higher perspective. And we can see with that God vision. For it is here that we recognize the Godward gaze is the time in which we recognize the goodness of life no matter what else is happening. That we feel that activity of love within us. And because we can reason on the way that beauty sparks goodness within us, we can thereby reason that this is how we heal what ails us. This is the way that we set aside any idea of illness or limitation, and we can step into the full expression of the goodness of our life. We can count our blessings. We can be grateful that so many people brought their willingness to an event, to a project, and they brought it with love, and they brought it with generosity and kindness, so that this spiritual community can benefit in a profound and beautiful and fun way. And we know that that is the very same energy that heals the discord in our physical being. That by speaking these powerful words of prayer, we are realigning the cells in our body with the perfection that God intended for us to express. So we are healed. We are restored to our wholeness. We find a balance in our emotions and our mental clarity so that we can move through our lives with this high resolve and know that we are conduits of love and goodness on this planet. And that when we begin anything with that impulse of love, we have helped to make the world more lovely. So I say thank you, God. Thank you, life. Thank you, infinite spirit. We receive and accept these blessings, for we know that the grace of God is streaming into our lives even now. That the grace is given freely, and we accept in great gratitude. So I say thank you, God. Thank you, life. Thank you, infinite spirit, for all these gifts and all those that are yet to come. And I simply release the words of this prayer into that dynamic law that always responds affirmatively. And together we say, and so it is. Amen. Amen.
Grateful, grateful, grateful for all the love that I have. I am so grateful, grateful, grateful for all the love that I have. Everywhere I look and every face I see, His love reflected shining back to me. I just give thanks for all these simple things, the joy and peace that gratitude brings. That's why I'm grateful, grateful, grateful for all the love that I have. I am so grateful, grateful, grateful for all the love that I have.
Right. Thank you, Bradford. So now's the time to celebrate the abundance of our lives and the abundance of our community. So join me in saying our giving affirmation together. I live in a consciousness of good. Divine love blesses and multiplies all that I am, all that I have, all that I give, and all that I receive. Thank you, God, and so it is.
Please rise for our last song. Oh, it feels so good to be alive. Sing that. Oh, it about my problems. I'm living now. I'm living now. And I ain't gonna worry about the future. I'm living now. I'm living now. So put your hands up if you feel like having a good time. Put your hands up if you're sharing love with all. Raise your cup if you're hopeful for tomorrow. Put your hands up if you're ready to have some fun. And sing it. Oh, 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 it feels so good to be alive. Oh, 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 it feels so good to be alive. Feels good, don't it? Feels good, don't it? Only got one life, live in the moment. Feels good, don't it? Feels good, don't it? Only got one life, live in the moment. Feels good, don't it? Feels good, don't it? Only got one life, live in the moment. Feels good, don't it? Feels good, don't it? Only got one life, live. Oh, 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 it feels so good to be alive. Oh, oh, it feels so good to be alive. One more time. Oh, 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 it feels so good to be alive.
It definitely feels good to be alive in Arizona right now with those beautiful days out there. So please, I hope you're out there and enjoying every single day, even those loud chirping birds in the morning. All right, so let's say our closing affirmation. Repeat after me. I live in a very precise universe. I express love in all my experiences. And so it is.
Thanks for being here. Go shop.